be very smug.
27.
All of this.
27.
27, mate.
All right, well, that 1% that just left us, I don't know even what to say. You disgust me. You disgust me. As we're going to see some disgusting Rocket League from SMPR in this series. On a less biased point, however, here's Stumpy. An important match here, especially for Endpoint. They need to keep that chase going, and they also kind of need to hope at the moment that Williams stumble over against, I believe they're facing Na'Vi.
Yes, Williams versus Na'Vi is going to be a big result for, realistically, both of these teams, SMPR and Endpoint respectively. Endpoint have got a few more chances to make the major. That's ultimately the path we're on right now, where Endpoint, when they get into that top 8, they get themselves into a really nice position. They can technically do it without getting top 8, but that's where they look a lot more solid. If SMPR don't get there, they're out. They need to win this one to give themselves the best chance, going through in a slightly better seed than third.
And it was something that we kind of expected to be saying coming into this split, but SMPR, a team that did so well at the major, might not go to the next one. And that is just life over in Europe. It's also one of those things that becomes a very harsh reality when you are trying to chase up these World Championship spots as well, is that you need to not only get to major, you need to maximize the amount of points that you're getting from those major spots.
You need to try and send your best teams as a region. Obviously, every team is going to think we're the best ones for the job, but even if your favorite team doesn't make it, you have to hope that at home, although, say, SMPR knock Endpoint out of contention, that SMPR still do very well, or Endpoint do very well, respectively, at the majors, get the representation at that world event. And so far, it's looking like both these teams, although suffering to Williams resolve, they're looking towards their main stars. Seiko and Archie are statistically some of the best players in the league. And Casio, he wants to tell me to shut up and talk about him.
I don't know. I think you can still be somewhat right about this, because look at the crunching challenge from Archie. Casio could not be better set up for it. And when you know you've got the shooting prowess of Casio, as long as you get the ball over to him in a good spot, he is more than capable of putting it in. But Endpoint will be worried about that moving forward. Need to make sure that when they are trying to transition out their own side of the field, they don't make it that easy. As we do see the double demo, who's up next?
Oh, wow.
Pretty far back. And double demo doesn't really come in for too much.
But it was that challenge from Archie. Did you see him just stop that ball dead? That easily could have popped out into a scary position, and it manages to not. He keeps it so close and completely shuts down any effect that double demo had.
Archie definitely seems to have the shoulder pads on today for these challenge games. As Casio wide open downfield. Really scuffed that, and that's bounced to the worst possible position for him. Opportunity now for Endpoint to try and break away. Seiko keeps the pressure on. It was him against Archie in the challenge, one of the first times Archie hasn't come out on top, but thinking those in the corner, you need such a huge win just to create anything for yourself. And Endpoint have been launching attacks. Need something big. This is a play that can provide it. Instead, played right towards the backboard. This has been brilliant defensive showing so far by SMPR, and now they might even go on to score. So it's cleared away.
Good defensive showing until they start tripping over each other's shoelaces. Seiko, that bottom right corner is his, though, as the ball squeaks its way past into a terrifying position from Metz's lovely read and pinch central at perfect speed.
One of the worst parts in the world, isn't it? When you just compliment a player and it all just goes.
Nothing makes it feel sillier.
Nothing no, I don't feel silly. I just feel betrayed.
You should.
Okay. Oh, all right. Well, we'll find out when it comes to the predictions at the end of this. You see on the start. I like that. That's a good way of dealing with Archie. Just make sure. I don't know the worst thing you can do against Archie, especially when he's got the ball solo, is jump. Like, unless he has forced you into the air, stay on the ground for as long as possible, especially if you're the first man attacking him. You see Seiko again with an off-ball demo. But the longer you can do that, you can just aim for his car, because you're not getting the ball off him. He's too tricky for that. But if you can wipe him out, he can't play the ball afterwards.
I do feel like we're seeing his teammates as well play really nicely off Archie's 50s, where whether they have to be controlled or, pinching central or going high, it seems like there's a nice level of cohesion from SMPR, which is something we haven't seen nearly as much in winter as we wanted to, much less than we saw in fall, especially. They've not placed above 9th so far. They haven't looked nearly as good as we want them to, but Archie, getting that cohesion with his teammates is going to allow them to just play a little bit more tricksy and play more at their own pace.
And Casio once again, first man to the ball, couldn't quite turn it in. That's another danger there for Endpoint. Need to avoid. Here's Archie on the challenge. Loses it. This is basically a challenge off in the midfield between him and Seiko. Who can get the pressure and the momentum for his team? Most importantly, get a hold of that territory. Is this rallying wave. Couldn't find his way past. Metza looks for the setup. Not the best play from Archie. That invites Seiko back in. He beats 2. He puts it on net.
Oh!
It's the double tap to make it 2-1.
Oh, Seiko, that is remarkable. Beating 2 to the ball from the ceiling and then delicately to the crossbar. Archie thought that was in. Maybe Seiko meant it, but he'll never admit that. The second goal for Endpoint, a masterclass from Seiko.
And let's be honest here. If he goes for the shot first time, Archie gets there. There's no way he can generate enough power. So if he goes for that double tap, that's where the power is. That's what displaces Archie. What a way for Endpoint to not only get back into this game, but to potentially win it. 10 seconds left, relating wave, with Seiko again looking for Archie. Well, you wanted to know why he was one of the talismans of the European region. He has shown exactly why. Seiko has barraged his way through to this victory.
Brilliant.
And Endpoint have got game 1.
Lovely game management as well from Endpoint. Not trying to rush it too much, not trying to extend and get that third, ultimately pointless goal that you don't need to win that match. Instead, keeping it close, touching it down at the end. Seiko, awesome performance from him, getting 3 shots, 2 goals for it, shooting 66%. That's why he's near the top of Europe.
Man, those are some great numbers, but Orb, I want to hear some other numbers that are happening around the field right now. What is happening off this stream, and who's looking at the best possible opportunities to go to the major?
Absolutely. Listen, I'm gonna be the numbers guy as much as I can. I was never really good at math, but what I can do is tune into different streams. Of course, when I plug different team streams happening, we can't cover all the games, sadly, on the main broadcast. So by all means, check out all the different team streams we have available. I've been checking out Kaiser versus Vitality. Vitality was able to win that one. They are, I think they're waiting on their next game. EG versus Dig, 1-1 in games. Dig tied it up by winning 2-0 in game number 2. And then we have BDS versus Misfits. BDS has 1-0 in both the series and in game number 2. So there's a lot going on, all right? There's a lot going on, but I love hearing you guys like yell. I can hear it full volume, obviously. So it's like as soon as you're screaming, Seiko scores, I snap over and I see what's happening. It's good.
You can see me going everywhere right now. I'm trying to find as many tabs as I can possibly get open to watch all of the streams.
There's so much going on. And the thing is as well, in these situations where we have concurrent matches, Endpoint and SMPR fans are definitely looking at all of those teams to see what they can do. For Endpoint, they essentially want Evil Geniuses, Misfits, and sort of Dignitas, but to a lesser extent, to do badly. So basically, it's good for Dig and EG to be battling each other in their group. That's lovely. And it's even better for Endpoint. The BDS are currently beating Misfits. So out of their own control, it's looking good for them, especially now they've got this one game over SMPR. For SMPR, it's a lot simpler. Every single team above them, all 9, they want them to do badly. So any SMPR fans out there, you basically want everyone to win, to lose, which is statistically very unlikely, but fingers crossed, lads.
Well, a little bit of good news happening for both of these teams is that Williams Resolve and Na'Vi are actually 1-1 at the moment, so Na'Vi able to at least get 1 game back. Currently trying to chase them down, and how important it is as well to get that number 1 seed over in this side. I believe that's the top 6 guaranteed if you can do that. So yeah, definitely work to be done. As we do see Seiko off the backboard, sets it for Metza. You saw how quickly the Metza gave up on that play. He realized that he wasn't going to get there and instantly went for the in and out, just to improve the speed of the recovery.
Yeah, I feel like Metza's mechanics, and I'm still going to include recoveries in with mechanics, even though they are off ball. They are something that's impressed me immensely. Along with the teamwork from SMPR, we're looking at a good few changes coming in from both of these teams. Mechanics on one side and team play on the other.
Yeah, this is just out and out the duo of Cassio and Archie, just pulling in so much work, and another infield pass. This one off just an actual pass, not just the challenge. But it's something that Endpoint have not been positioning for. Usually a little bit better, especially a player like Metza has always done very well at intercepting infield passes and just realizing where he needs to position to make sure it's not a choice. So far it has been available. Long shot, running wave Easily able to scurry back in time, although he hasn't got control of the ball, and SMPR happy to challenge. Good chance here now. As we see SMPR just locking down, they'll try and grab as much boost as they can, lock into this midfield, but this is the player you want. seicao disrupts everything, and look how quickly they tried to escape at Endpoint in their desperation to get out. Have put themselves at a rough spot. And they need another chance at this.
A rough spot, though, that was unchallenged by SMPR as both Casio and SMPR take to the air. Neither of them wanted to take control of the ball, and it let Metzer take a slower touch, save it, and then go on the counter-attack. So SMPR, although they have had good teamwork, they need that to continue. seicao putting forward a few more shots on target as well, as between the two top dogs on these teams, it's a statistical battle, trying to win the top of essentially every stat we can see, the goals per game, the participation, the saves even. It's so reliant on these rookies.
Relating wave. Asked Metzer and RFC want to go for that, and Metzer says not a chance. Metzer tends to rely on defense over just going for it. He's always been very defensive-minded in that sense. seicao again. He's trying to take the challenge on Archie once again. Couldn't quite get enough on it. Archie's challenges start off so good this series. But now seicao seems to be leveling up, seems to be doing a much better job of winning those encounters. Now needs to get out of here. Shot by SMPR. Very awkward for seicao. Avoids getting hit. Bit of a wasteful hit there by Archie. Gives the ball straight back over. But what is the boost situation like over on Endpoint there? Doing well enough with it. Just decided to slow play.
I think the issue with that play was that although seicao sent it high and awkward, nobody from SMPR bothered to continue with that ball. And then you see the teamwork at the other end. Metzer tries to catch for the flip reset, isn't able to do so successfully, but slows the ball down enough to hand it off to Wave.
Yeah, Casio's got no chance of making the right decision here. There are so many options available. Just had to hope that he got it right, and unfortunately, there was simply no way of getting that one right. So one each. And another goal here, Stumpy, that has not come from sustained offense. It has been the counterattacks from both of these teams. And do you put that down mostly just to how good the counterattacks have been, or have there been just slight weaknesses on defensive transition?
I think it does come down more to the defensive errors, because we saw in the previous game, you know, there was a couple of players that on the rotation back out, there'd be a miscommunication of who should be turning forward, who trends where. God, that pinch nearly goes.
That was way more power than it should have had.
Yeah, that would have been a dreadful defensive rotation shooting on your own net. Yeah, I feel like the counterattacks have been fine. You know, they've done the job, but they've been far from perfect. And I think that's a big avenue for a lot of these teams to look into, make sure they don't mess up on that rotation back to their own half.
Look at the ball control from seicao again, takes the challenge. But they need the follow-up. seicao has been getting good challenges, but either they can't or they won't. Either way, Endpoint have not sent an extra player for it most of the time.
Those passes
10 seconds left
have been so frequent from seicao receiving the ball, knows he can't go for the shot, and so sends it into the ceiling to make the defense a lot more awkward than it would be if it was a standard pass. Instead, though, the ball falling center, no ceiling this time as the ground attracts him.
And Archie's going to be the first to this. He's got plenty of boost. He's also got Relating Wave, who didn't put him off enough. A Relating Wave just making sure he's around, making sure there was a second guess on that play. Now SMPR over his own chance. He's got a bit of space to work with. That bounce, though, was the worst one he could have seen. And that is the best option there for Endpoint. They've escaped, at least temporarily.
This is the 5th overtime today out of 9 games for Endpoint. They live here. I don't know what their win percentage is like in those games, but it suddenly starts to feel like they're starting to make that nest here.
SMPR tasked with getting rid of the ball. Ends up leaving it for Archie. Good pass on there from Relating Wave. Didn't want to leave the infield option available for Archie if he wanted to take it. SMPR just challenges seicao. A lot of shots actually being put into sort of the back middle of the cars over on Endpoint. Makes clearing the ball very difficult to do. Archie sets himself up. Couldn't get there in time, but through the smoke screen, seicao got to try and locate the ball over the top. Casio's moved over, but maybe spotted it a bit too late.
God, there's just so much awkward movement from Endpoint in defense. And SMPR, they're being far from perfect, but they're outplaying Endpoint right now. Seiko being bumped into an awkward touch. Metza has to clear it away from the goal line. And our resident statistician has said that Endpoint have won half of the OTs they've played today. 2-2. This one being the 5th. So coin flip, hoping will go their way.
Oh, relating waves. Got the shot instead. Straight to Chaussette, who pre-jumped it. Making use of all of those numbers that SMPR had back. Archie already up again. He's not got one of these to work out just yet, but if Endpoint keep giving him the chance, something's going to work eventually. He's still around. Half rotations. Looks to set. There is Casio, but a little bit too high. But Archie is getting enough looks where if you're a SMPR fan, you're okay with this at the moment because you know Archie's going to get one of these to work eventually.
And also look at the boost levels. It's SMPR with about 200 between them and Endpoint rocking off a single pad, essentially. Metza takes the backboard so that he is able to stay high nice and quickly. Wave has to burn quite a bit to get to that ball first, but with no pressure there, he just falls to Casio in the midfield. 2 minutes 20 gone, and it's SMPR continuing this push on that blue half, with Archie bumping as often as he possibly can, making it so much more awkward. Sure set round 1. Casio, though, pre-jumping, doesn't respect it. Seiko up the solo flip reset, air dribble. Nobody there to receive until Metanoras is there to finish the game.
Well, Archie got attempts, but Seiko only needed the 1. Sets up Metza, and that is 2-1. Another victory for Endpoint. And they are looking towards a very hard-earned sweep at the moment here, Stumpy. But that is the quality that you expect to see from Seiko. The moment that ball was in the air, you were utterly terrified. Orb, how are things looking elsewhere? Because we're having a lot of fun over here on the mainstream.
Trust me when I say I can hear it. When I say that, I want you to know that I can hear it loud and clear, okay? I love it. I love the energy. I love the passion. That's what it's all about. We had Williams versus Navi, currently 2-1 in the series to Williams. Navi just secured a goal, so they are up in game 4. Zero Nation versus Guild, currently 1-1 in the series. Guild just won 5-2 in game number 2. So they're fighting for your prediction here, Shogun. Your sweep 3-0 prediction.
Prediction?
That you were
I remember it being a prediction. I remember just saying it was what was happening.
Oh, okay. Yes, the sage words of Shogun, they are fighting for it anyways. They're fighting to uphold their end of the bargain, okay? You're calling it, they have to do the work, okay? I say that's pretty fair. Kuxi versus Luminosity, currently 0-2 in the series, obviously in favor of Luminosity. Cooks are up 1 goal with half the game still to go. So there's stuff going on, all right? There's stuff going on. I love that we got another overtime, by the way. This is going to be I don't want to say the curse. It's a good thing that it's overtime because that just means more Rocket League, but that just means the show is going to last all night. I'm down with it. Question is, are you?
I'm going to have a 2-1 overtime.
Mate, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of Rocket League.
Oh, Seiko, you got to stop this! Seiko's tearing them apart, Stumpy!
Look at these challenges just to stop the ball. Fakes out 1. The short set has to then jump like a numpty. 50s it over perfectly to Metza, doing what Archie was doing earlier in the series, and gets that opening goal in 5 seconds to try to continue this sweep. A series result that I think is the biggest so far outside of this game. Vitality are 2-0 up versus Queso. Queso looking to go out of their group 0-3. They might not make tomorrow. So guys, keep an eye on all of these streams elsewhere. Report to me in chat of what's going on with Queso Vitality, because I need the armchair opinions.
Oh, past the Seiko. There's the shot. There's the goal. Well,
GG.
Seiko's having himself quite the series, but look at this for a pass. He could have asked for it any better.
Do you want to know a cool stat?
I'm up for a stat.
Seiko is on 212 points. Guess how many points Archie's on? Before he touches the ball on kickoff, please. Quick.
Okay, 12?
2. Archie's hit the ball once.
Oh, wow.
And there have been 2 goals for Endpoint.
I thought, okay, that,
It is, yeah.
Not great.
This is Endpoint's map, I think.
Yeah, it's, that's quite the oofed.
Quite the oofed.
Well, he's going to get a couple of points here. There we are. He's up to 14. And it's relating wave. Passes over to Metanoras. Back over to Seiko. And suddenly, as soon as you see it, you get very scared. Especially when you've got Chaussette, who has somehow survived that.
He just got pushed along like a snowball. Like, he was just waiting on that. That's a brilliant pinch, though, coming from Archie. Ends up being a shot. Seiko saving it away from the blue side twice. This man they are both unbelievable. Like, I can't believe how well Seiko has turned around in this series, where Archie, to me, looked like the best player on the pitch. He was doing brilliantly, first of all, and he had maybe 2/3 of the game to be the best player. And then Seiko has turned it on, trying to go for the double tap. The pass central, though, Casio will receive, and Wave can't quite get the dunk. It's Endpoint now. It's on them to hold it as best they can.
Well, this is where a bit of a question starts to come in here, which is, did Archie do enough with the ball? He was the main priority on boost. He was the main priority with the ball. Did he get enough created in that amount of time? And secondly, was it the right decision to go with? Right now, you would say 1 goal in both the previous games definitely would not indicate a yes to that question. Archie tries to find some sort of setup. Casio far side. It's relating Wave, just tries to put the ball right down the middle. Shot though, already there, and Archie almost caught out Endpoint. Very cheeky cut of the rotation. This is where he's got to shine here. His team is up against it. He needs to find some way. He's now looking for bumps, looking for demos. Nothing working out here for Semper. Just there. Yep, dive there. You've got to find something.
Yeah, those 50s being played for, though, by Endpoint. They're slowing it down whenever they can. Archie, though, to the sky. Will get one bump out, though, but Seiko's there to receive it. And, yeah, those 50s from Endpoint, where they wait. They know they can wait. There's 2 minutes left, and Semper need to push for the 2 goals. Seiko now with a chance to score, but does get bumped away by Shorset. Just slowing it down, knowing they don't need to overextend and push and be silly. It is on Semper to show them what they've got. And if that continues, Endpoint, you can't be sitting about the whole time.
Well, all 3 of these goals have been Castillo and Archie, an infield pass and a shot on net. That has been all of them so far. We might be looking at another 2-1 unless they can grab themselves another. I did like that, though, as a bit of a pace increase. Endpoint have proven themselves at this point that the moment we see Semper slow the play down, they're going to stop it. They need to keep the pace up. They need to cause Endpoint's defense to panic. And if there's anything you will agree with me on here, Stumpy, Endpoint's defense, they can panic.
No.
No. Doesn't sound like a very convinced no.
It doesn't sound like my Endpoint. Hashtag not my Endpoint, Shogun. We're always solid until the end of the series. I can't lie like you are with Guild. I can't do this.
You have to believe it in your heart and your soul, Stumpy.
I have neither of those things. Semper are going to keep pushing everything they have at Endpoint. Otherwise, their chances of making the major just get that bit slimmer. And being top 4 in the world is not the position you want to be in, especially, realistically, right before they have the chance to go to LA. But Relating Wave grabs his bag of nails and starts hammering that coffin.
Yeah, this is not the play out from Archie, just right into the waiting third man. Though did not really have that much support in the net, just so desperate to get their own side of the field. Good news as well for both of these teams. Williams Resolve and Na'Vi, they're over in game 5. This could be exactly the result that they require. And wait a minute.
Okay.
Well, Endpoint, this is becoming a bit worrisome now. Because it's another play from wide into the middle that they aren't meeting.
Brilliant pass, though. I think Seiko was in a position.
It's great. I just wish this wasn't the 4th goal of the same kind.
That's fair. Seiko was in position to save it, but Casio just rocketed that one against the ceiling, using his own parlor tricks against him. Was able to get the pass over towards his teammate, but Archie now trying to keep this push going. 40 seconds remaining for Semper to hold on with their chance of staying in the series. On the backboard, Metza meets up with Seiko, slowing it down. Metza just holding it. Brilliant stuff. Seiko moving into, goes to 50 versus Shorset, outplays him so consistently, and Metza Norris with the 4th.
Well, I think we now know who you don't want to try and face on in these counterattacks. Seiko has torn them apart.
Yeah.
It has been vicious what he has managed to do, and Endpoint, what a statement of intent this is going to be from them. 4-2. Archie, he needs to score from this. And Seiko again. We came into this one, Stumpy, saying this was a battle of the talismans. One of them has outperformed the other.
Yeah, and it's not the one that is at the top of everything. Archie, statistically, is the best player in Europe during this season. It's insane how well he's done. And Seiko, although he is a close second, third, whatever it ends up being, depending on the stat, he has proven that sometimes that doesn't matter. The #1 spot in this series goes to Endpoint, and that also has implications as Rix are now eliminated from making the major. That is the first team that we can realistically say they are 100% out.
Orb, there's a result. I want you to tell us the result. Please tell us the Williams resolve result at the moment, because that's a thing that's happening.
Hold on, let me bring up Williams resolve. I didn't have it open.
Do you want me to say it? I've got it.
No,
I've got it right from
I want to wait.
Yeah.
No, I want to hear it from all.
All right, we're waiting.
Okay, Williams resolve.